I don't think most of us can fully appreciate or even recognize how impressive Kim Caldwell's first high school recruiting class truly is. Their ability to get one of the nation's best classes just 6 months into their tenure is absolutely incredible. And all of the five new players that they get that have just arrived on Rocky Top fill massive holes for the Lady Vols and help to build on their bread and butter. And I think based off of last season, where if I go back and I look at those comments talking about introducing Kim Caldwell and we're all cautiously optimistic, I think you should be uh, absolutely excited for the upcoming season. Take the guardrails off and just kind of really lean into it because you look at the talent that's returning, what she was able to get out of the transfer portal, and then the five players she gets out of the high school class and getting the state's best player and Laura Hurst as well. It's going to make for a very entertaining season. So let's kind of recap who those five new players are, and then we'll dive into maybe what they could bring to the team and where I think that they could be a really great fit for Tennessee. We can start with what they call the twin backcourt and twins. Mia and Maya Paldo, they're ranked 11 and 56 respectively. Then you get to Denia Prawl, she's 14. Jada Civil checks in at number 32. And then Laura Hurst is number 42, the state's best prospect, all coming here to Rocky Top to play for the Lady Vols. I think what they all have in common, when you can maybe break down a couple of those stats, is rebounding. And truly, after a season of watching Kim Caldwell, I think rebounding is the bread and butter to her team. And I know she and everybody and myself, blah, 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 have talked so much about the high octane offense, pressure defense, and who's going to fit that in positionless basketball. All of that maybe takes a back burner to rebounding. I mean, you can maybe look at so many of these games and with near perfect accuracy, if it's not like a 5+ margin for the rebounding battle, Tennessee's not winning much of those games. So for the Lady Vols to get size, length, scoring, and people who really like defense to get on their team, that's great. But I think to capitalize on that effort all comes from rebounding in those second chance points. That is the bread and butter for a Kim Caldwell team. If I'm wrong, I think it should be moving forward because I think that was a huge difference maker in a number of these games this season. So if we maybe just kind of look at some of their numbers where they don't necessarily jump out at the page to you, but you can see that they are utilizing their size and length in a really productive way. Specifically, when we look at the twins, they're like 5'5", yet they're still able to go out there and get 3-4 rebounds a game. And what that shows you is that they are scrappy. They do like defense. They do like to kind of get in the middle of things and take the contact, again, whether on defense or they move into getting those offensive boards. Then when you get into the 6 feet and taller range, which is our next three recruits there, you have Denia. She's getting about 7.6 a game. You get Jada nearly 7, and then you have Laura who's +7 in her rebounds per game. So again, utilizing that length and size will be huge for Tennessee, whether you're getting them out of zone or not. So much of what Tennessee needed to capitalize on a season ago is where maybe they live and die by that 3-pointer. It's like, who's around to look alive and get a rebound for the team so they can try and go and get an extra point or a second chance point? And then, what are you doing on defense to eliminate and get another kill, right? They try to get 3 stops in a row. So when you get all of those players together and you can see what they're doing with the rebounding, what they're doing with defense, Kim Caldwell says it just feels like a perfect mix. Like, it just feels right. And that's exactly what you want to see. And speaking of what you want to see, I thought it was so funny. I'll pull up the video now when they're all arriving on campus, and you can see Kim Caldwell grabbing a couple of boxes as well and helping the team move in as well. I'm like, who's putting her to work like this? Like, give her a pillow. Don't give her a whole box to bring in. But I just thought it was so fun to see the way that she gets involved. So when you kind of mix all of that, you see the high school recruits that are coming in. And at the top, we talked about, this being one of the best classes in about a decade for the Lady Vols. I think we can specifically go to that 2017 season where this class here, it's the first time since 2017 that they had 2 players in the top 15, 3 players in the top 35, all best since that 2017 time. At that time, too, that class ended up being the nation's best recruiting class. So again, for Kim to be able to do this 6 months into her tenure, hold on to all of them so that they can get to Rocky Top, I mean, that's so impressive. And I think that just continues to emphasize how much that first team that she had with Jewel Spears, Samara Spencer, all of them, how much that truly did set the foundation so that she could go and get these other players, and then you could get back to being a 2017 type of team with your recruiting, and you don't have to wait another decade before you get that type of excitement to come back to Rocky Top. But like we mentioned, not all of them are just going to be super dominant when you come to the battle of the boards and what they're able to do on the glass. So when we maybe look a little bit into who can bring that versatility, because Kimberly does like players who maybe can stretch the floor, maybe are a little bit more versatile. You get to the next point where you talk about scoring, right? So if we can get the bread and butter of rebounding, what's the next thing, right? Like if you get the ball, what do we want to do with it, right? We want to be able to shoot it, and I think the players that she's able to get fill really big holes for the Lady Vols. Specifically from the perimeter, who you're not really getting. You lost your top two scorers from the perimeter in Jewel Spear and Samara Spencer. Who's going to be able to come in from that high school specifically class to help try and fill that? Then you look to the field goal percentage and who's going to give you the paint presence, who's going to be able to get your mid-range shot. Thankfully, they got guys like Delasha Cooper, Ruby Whitehorn coming back. They obviously were your bulk of your scorers from the mid range, especially Delasha Cooper. She's got like 200 more attempts from the field than the next guy, which would be Ruby Whitehorn. So I think that takes a lot of pressure off of Delasha Cooper when they can maybe get some more natural scorers involved and not put so much pressure on her or not put so much pressure on Ruby Whitehorn, where maybe sometimes it feels, you've only got one or one and a half options per type of level of scoring. So maybe when we look at who that could be, especially might be Jada Sybil, right? She's one of the nation's top wing players, depending on what recruiting service you look at, but she's, versatile. She's able to stretch the floor. I think she can give you different types of looks when it comes to the scoring ability and what she can do on the baseline. Then you can look down to Laura Horst. She averaged, let's see the notes, 15 points a game almost, but that was on 44% shooting from the floor. So I think that'll be a nice compliment to the team to just have different looks, different options, people that really are reliable in their scoring ability. Of course, like we mentioned in men's basketball, you go from being at the top of your game in the high school ranks to like, ooh, am I at the bottom of this totem pole? Like, am I now a small fish in a big pond now that you're here in the high school ranks? Oftentimes, your answer will be yes. But what I think these 5 new high school recruits give you is obviously great presence on defense. You got additional size to help support players like Z Spearman, where your 3 high school recruits are 6 feet and taller, like 6'4", 6'3", and then 6 feet tall. And I think that's huge in this league in the SEC, where there's so many tall women and girls who are playing in the SEC. You need that. And then you get different types of scores from those new recruits as well, which is absolutely huge. And that is just going to, in a way that can place her system where it really is 5 in, 5 out. And I think that slowed down a little bit when she found out kind of like who that starting group that she really wanted ended up coming more of a staple. Now, does that remain the same coming into next season when she has more input, or you have an actual high school recruiting class that you went out and got? Do you still kind of play that way towards the end of the season? Obviously, that is to be determined. We haven't even seen open practice like we have for the men, which is our latest episode before this one. So you could definitely go back on the homepage and give that a look. But yeah, it'll be certainly exciting to get our first look when those summer workouts open and really kind of see where they are. Like, is it again where the running really wears them out, or did the high school ranks prepare them for the whiteboard and all the running that happens in a Kim Caldwell practice? But we'll have so much more coming up on this team, Golden Spikes, what have you. So certainly make sure you turn on your notifications if you are a subscriber. We really appreciate the support. If not, like, comment, engage, all of those things. I'll talk to you guys later this week.